Good evening, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Prasanna Lok, All India Rank 524, UPSC CSE 2019. Today we are going to discuss about the GS Main test series, which I expect that you all have might written. Test 3 on Indian economy. Okay. So as you can see the PDF here. So we will start with a few basics of how to approach and how to write the mains test paper. The thing which has worked for me in the past, it's advisable that you start from the question number 11 because those are 15 marker question, and there you need to write 250 words. So 15 markers, you need to first write it down. Then you also need to start very good on question number 1, because that will be the first impression that you are going to make on your examiner or the moderator. So writing from 11 to 20, I used to complete that set. And I used to write first, second, third, fourth question very nicely. And ultimately, due to then when time starts running out of your hand, then you can speed up for question number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So, but we don't want to be in a hurry and hustle for the 15 markers. So most of the people, their question 15 to 20 suffers. So they are risking 75 marks. It's better to risk 10 markers than to risk 15 markers, because every mark counts here. So the first question that we are going in this sequence, but I will advise you all to, in the final examination or even in the practice test, start from 11 markers. Okay. So now the first question: the government has liberalized FDI, foreign direct investment. See, this is the way that you need to write in the final examination also. First, you need no shortcuts, no short forms. You need to write it completely, foreign direct investment. Then in bracket FDI, and then you can mention in your subsequent answer that FDI. But for first time, you need to write the full form. So the approach is given. Now define FDI. Now, who is the standard authority in India who can define what is foreign direct investment? Of course, there are many committee recommendations, and you might be knowing all those names. But as the government or the RBI governance changes, so the committee becomes irrelevant. So the most important definition is on the Reserve Bank of India's website about the FDI. That is, you directly start when you are writing a definition. You need to write in double inverted comma, and then you need to end in double inverted commas. So start with according to RBI. Okay, you like that, you can according to RBI. FDI is a investment made through capital instruments by a person outside India. This is the first condition, that a capital investment made by a person which is outside India. That's why it is called foreign. This is in a unlisted Indian company. A capital investment made by a person outside India in an unlisted Indian company, or 10% or more of post-issue paid-up capital in listed Indian company. So we have unlisted company, and we have another criteria for listed company. Okay, so according to RBI, you can write definition, because that is the most legitimate definition. I would definitely write this definition, that I will first define FDI, because this is the first clause here. Now, the stress on the keyword is liberalized. Government has liberalized many sectors in recent years to make India an attractive destination, investment destination. That is definitely, this question is about Make in India. So you need to write that first definition, then you quickly can do write FDI, and then you can make 3 arrows here, because types of FDI is also important. When we are talking about FDI, we don't welcome any type of investment. We are very selective about the type The means the quantity of investment, the quality of investment, and the credibility of investors also, and in which sector they are going to invest. So, because in this world, economic stability is also a sovereign issue. So we don't want dirty investments. Okay, so that is also very important. So define FDI according to the RBI definition, which I just said to you. It's on the website also. You do research, then you may remember it well. Then FDI, three types of FDI. One is automatic route. One is government approval, automatic approval, government approval, and third is mixed, hybrid, where some part is like this and some part is like that. Okay, so don't go into details. Then you need to explain the FDI trends, because the question is statistical. That government FDI, okay, so statistical. After liberalization, the FDI, what is the status of FDI? That it is a hidden question that an examiner is expecting from you, because the question is about statistics and its dynamic in recent years. So definitely, in 2018-19, we have collected the largest FDI of approximately $63 billion. Now, for this year, it is still being counted, I think. 2018-19, yes, $64 billion. It was the highest FDI ever. And we can see since 2014, the FDI graph is like this. So definitely, you can also put a graphical image like this on your answer sheet. This is how you can FDI trends, India's recent FDI trends since 2014 to 2018-19. And you can put the columns of FDI here like this. Okay. So, but why FDI is necessary? You can see this is a 10-marker question. You don't waste your much time writing the literature. So you can directly write merits of FDI. First, what is the merit of FDI? It helps. It adds to the productive capacity of a nation. It adds to the productive capacity of nation. You write it down. Okay, I'll tell. Second merit, it brings not only money, but also the technology with it. See, if a Microsoft or a Google, which are reputed MNCs, they are investing in India, they are not just giving us money, but they will also give us technology. They will also give us standard operating procedures. They will also give us global best practices, and in return, if they are investing in heavily in us, they will also give us assured markets. If they are investing money here, so they will also be lobbying for our products, our exports in other markets also, so that they will also maximize their profit. So it's a win-win situation for investor as well as a destination country where investment is made. In this case, India. So FDI brings money, technology, standard operating procedure, global best practices. It also brings us assured markets, which is like expanding our markets, our exports, which will add to the manufacturing or services capacity, the production capacity of a country, which will generate employment. It will generate employment. Plus, India, we know on infrastructure front, we are very much lagging behind. Typically in the projects which are having long gestation periods. Long gestation periods means any project which it takes our decades to complete. So for that, Indian banking system, which is very suffering from many issues and challenges. So Indian banking mostly lends short-term loans. So the long-term gestation projects are devoid of loans. So FDI is a very good thing. It's a very good tool to address this thing. That it is a long-term type of loan only, but long-term and very negligible amount of interest or no interest at all. You can say that. So for long-term gestation infrastructural projects, FDI is very important. So these were the merits. You can write the merits like this. Okay. And which were the sectors that were liberalized? Okay. which are the sectors? Important is defense sector. See, defense sector, 49% automatic route investment is allowed, but beyond 49%, Foreign Investment Promotion Board, Foreign Investment Promotion Board, FIPB. This board comes under which ministry? This comes under Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Commerce and Industries. Okay. It does not come under Ministry of Defense, but foreign, because FDI is a something that is to be dealt with Foreign Investment Promotion Board. So FDI in defense sector we have recently got. We have also amended the manufacturing of small arms and ammunitions covered under Arms Act of 1959. See, if you are reading the Hindu, you might be knowing that even now Government of India is promoting the entrepreneurship, private entrepreneurship in defense manufacturing for small and medium ammunition, arms and ammunition. Okay. Now, second important sector is pharmaceutical sector. Pharmaceutical sector, we 75% under automated route in brownfield pharmaceuticals. What is brownfield pharmaceuticals? Greenfield and brownfield projects. Greenfield are which we start from beginning, and brownfield which are already there. Just we are expanding the scope of the enterprise. Okay, so why only 75% is in the pharmaceutical sector? Because it is a very strategic sector for India, and we are heavily dependent on China for the basic drug molecules. So we, though India is called as the pharmacy of the world, but around 90% of our raw material we import from China. Okay, so if 100% approval will be granted in pharmaceuticals also, then we have a notion of threat that China may overtake or this strategic sector also. So that's why 70% is capped. Another is coal mining. This was a very recently, the current government has 100% FDI under automatic route. Is allowed for captive consumption. See, this is very important, and coal is not for any purpose. Hello? 100% of FDI for coal mining is not for every other project, but only for the captive consumption. Means a power project can or iron and steel enterprise or a cement units which have huge domestic demand themselves, whose the enterprise needs coal itself. So only for such enterprise 100% FDI is allowed. Okay, but for commercial coal mining, still government has a big role to play in it. So civil aviation sector 100% under FDI for brownfield airport projects which are already there. So these are some enterprise that you need to mention, and in the way forward, just write that post LPG reforms of 1991, India has networked and integrated the economy with the global economy, and and for our domestic as well as the global interest, we need to harness our demographic dividend potential, which FDI can help us to do so by expanding our market, generating employment, and also bringing the technology for overall prosperity. Now, in the final sentence, just now here is the most important line of any answer. Here you can put your own innovation. See, the question you addressed was about FDI till now, but the last ball is your game. Okay. If this question comes, I will write everything about FDI what I have said through the standard sources. I have quoted the definition from RBI, then I have quoted the definition for government sources, and everything about FDI I have written is okay. Last thing I will write: a liberalized economy is not only inclusive but also sustainable, which will help us to achieve a $5 trillion economy. $5 trillion economy. See, now this is how you twist, you twist and end your concept, because the economic survey says that private investment will be the driver of our economic story towards the goal of $5 trillion economy. So FDI is a type of private investment only. So this is how you take that extra half mark from your competitors. Okay, this is how you end on a positive note. So this is how you should address the first question. Now, natural gas marketing reforms. I think recently the cabinet has done something. So briefly explain how the NGMR, natural gas marketing reforms, will help India to move towards natural gas based economy. See, such questions are a free hit. The question is itself indicating you what is the answer. Okay, so what is natural gas marketing reforms, one thing, and how it will help our country to move towards NG based economy. So you need to know what is the current status of our energy basket today. We are a coal based economy, which is a dirty coal, which is not compatible with the sustainable development goals or even with the Paris deal. One thing. Next thing is we are heavily import means petroleum dependent economy. Petroleum in the sense the petroleum products for which we import 85% of it. So, but petroleum also has challenges because it requires further processing, which is very capital intensive. Petrochemical industries are capital intensive and capital intensive, polluting, plus they continuously need advancement in the technology, which is again requires heavy investment, and India can't afford to have such things on a huge scale. So this is the thing. That's why the question is there. Okay, you can start in a simple way. That recently Union Cabinet has approved national natural gas marketing reforms to move India towards cleaner. First word. Recently, Union Cabinet has approved natural gas marketing reforms so as to move India towards, first word, clean, cheaper. These are self-explanatory words. What examine it, the moderator of the paper will realize that you know the question and you know why the question is asked at the first place. Very self-explanatory. Clean, because other sources of energy are polluting. Okay, cheaper. See, petroleums are very expensive. Even the coal itself is a cheap commodity, but the extraction and processing of coal is again a very tiresome job. So, clean, cheaper, and effective gas-based economy. Okay. Second thing, this is a reform, so it's a policy, and there must be a policy aim. So I will write first that introduction, that what I have said. Then I will say what is policy aim. I will write its subheading, policy aim. Okay. Then I will give like this: policy aim, provide standard procedure for sale of natural gas in a transparent, competitive manner through e-bidding. Definitely the reform, it must be e-reform. Why the reform is there? Because a standard procedure of sale of natural gas through transparent and competitive manner through e-bidding. So again, why investors will invest if the policy will be unfair to them? So the policy has been framed in a very fair manner so that the competition will be respected. In a transparent manner, there will be no biasness. So that's how you bring investments and investors also. Okay. So this is the policy aim. This is how I will write policy aim. Then I will write whatever I have said. Okay. Now, why the reforms were needed? So as I said, uniform bidding process, avoid ambiguity, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this is the word that is going to fetch you extra mark. Self-reliant India. We want we need to address our energy security. because Atmanirbhar Bharat will be a production hub, a self-sustaining production hub, a self-sustaining manufacturing enterprise, a self-sustaining service enterprise. And to self-sustain, we need energy. Manufacturing is an energy-intensive industry. Even service sectors, the huge IT infrastructure, the coolants of IT, they need high loads of energy, the intense energy. So the means the dream of our Bharat will not become reality unless and until we ensure the energy supply. We ensure our energy security by investments in the domestic production of natural gas and reducing the import dependence. True, it's very true. It's self-explanatory. Okay, then means you can write it again. Write it. This is a 10 marker. So natural gas marketing reform. Okay, what is the crux of it? First thing, it will reduce the import dependence. It will increase the domestic production. Okay, write this like this. Second thing, it will bring it the investment which are the drivers of growth according to the economic survey of last year. It will also enhance the transparency, or will also enhance the ease of doing business. Ease of doing business. Plus, will give energy security. Okay. So this is how I will write in few words. Okay. Other than employment opportunity, everything you know. Now there is a target of the government that we need to make 15% of our energy dependence by 2030 on natural gas. Why natural gas? Because it's cheaper, it is high in energy density, and it is clean. Okay. So way forward. This way forward is very good actually. I have read this. You can write it as the role of health gas. You just put it number 1, health benefits. Substitution of traditional biomass for cooking by cleaner gas, which reduces the pulmonary diseases in rural areas, specifically women. So this is a tool for not only rural empowerment but also women empowerment. Okay, this is how you diversify your answer. It also helps you to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So in tune with the Paris Deal and Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. So SDG, I think 7. You need to by heart all the SDGs. Huh? This is very important. SDG 7. So you can read the rest thing. We will go to the third question. Discuss the measure taken by Indian government to control the coastal pollution. Okay. And blue flag certification, FEEE. The two main things, measures taken by Indian government to control coastal pollution. Blue flag certification. Okay. Here you can do some innovation. You can draw a map of India. You can definitely draw a map of India and so definitely a map of India will help you to highlight the coastal areas. But a cardinal mistake most of the students do while defining the sea or exclusive economic zone or coast of India, that we draw just the peninsular India like this, and we forget about that we have the Lakshadweeps here and the Andaman and Nicobar here. So these are this is a mistake that you should not make, because these are also economic zones and coastal zones. Okay. So let it be. We have 9 maritime states, as it is said here, 9 maritime states and 5 union territory. Okay. Importance of coastal zones is they are high population density areas. Most of the economic activities are happening on the coastal areas. For example, the metro cities of like Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Kozhikode, Visakhapatnam, Chennai, and many more cities. they are on the coastal area only. They are the economic hubs of our country and high population density because huge economic and commerce and trade. So many people have settled for generations there. So the increasing population is now putting the pressure on the limited resources in those areas. So that's why it is highly important to control or to regulate the safety and sustainability of the environment in those areas, which is the coastal environment. Okay. What are the threats? You can definitely write. See, population growth is there, industrial development. So the if toxin and waste are drained, yes, waste is released. Oil spills, yes, oil spills, expansion of harbor for tourism. Tourism is not a bad thing, but responsible tourism is a good word. So you can write in a way forward. Here you can quote. Uh, Here you can quote irresponsible tourism. So these are the initiatives that you can quote. Yes, MARPOL, India has signed MARPOL. We have Coast Guard Act, Merchant Shipping Act. See, there are legislations for each and every question that you might face in general studies. We have near about a parliamentary standing committee on each and every aspect of our syllabus. So if you are not having any positive thing or in way forward, you can definitely quote a parliamentary standing committee, or you can memorize all those statutes and acts. I have memorized everything. Now the moment Coast Guard, I knew what I have to write in the way forward. I would have written this MARPOL. See, this is specifically for prevention marine pollution. Okay, the MARPOL is and India is signatory to it. I would write this point, and I would also write this acts like Indian Coast Guard Act of 1950 and Merchant Shipping Act of 1958. This is not important, but Coast Guard Act is important. Okay, so to combat marine and coastal. So flag, blue flag. Who gives it? Foundation of Environment and Quality Standards, FEE. I had mentioned it earlier also by fee. So you need not remember all these names of these blue tag 8 beaches. Just remember that we have 8 beaches in India which are blue flag. What are the benefits? You can definitely guess. You can read it. It's simple. So now comes the important part where I want to show, when I want to explain you something. See, this is, as I said, if you are not able to recall anything, your way forward must be positive. I repeat that your way forward must be positive. And if you are not able to recall any of the positives, then I already said that try to remember if there is some committee, high-powered committee over it. So you can quote that according to those recommendations, and you can write the general recommendation. There is definitely a departmental related standing committee of parliament on each and every issue that we face. If not, try to write if this section comes under any provision of our constitution. For example, what provision of constitution you can write in the question related to the coastal environment? Okay. Question of environment, and that too from coastal area. One, I will write Article 48. What is Article 48, friends? The DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy, it makes an imperative on the state to protect and improve our environment. Okay, so way forward, as it's constitutionally mandated under Article 48 of DPSP for the protection and improvement of environment. Also in the Article 51A, fundamental duties to protect and improve the natural environment. So also India is under the international obligation in SDG. What is the SDG for ocean and sea? 14. I have remembered all these SDGs 17 because they are very important. So environment and coastal environment, Article 48 of DPSP, Article 51A of fundamental duty, and SDG 14. These three statistics. See how beautifully you diversify. Other than that, you can put a case study of a tiny Micronesian island, means tiny Pacific island a nation of Palau, they have banned the sun cream, the sunscreen which we apply to avoid the ultraviolet radiation of sun. But that has some microplastics, and the chemicals are, the bleaching chemicals are very harmful for the coral and marine ecology. So this tiny nation, which is a tourism-based country, has banned. See the revolutionary. It's not a simple thing for them to do. They don't have much of economic resources. Tourism is the most important industry for them, and most of the tourists, they apply sunscreen because of the tropical or the equatorial climate of the nation. So now they have banned it because it was harmful for their ecology. So this case study you can write. Okay. Discuss about the Stockholm POP, Convention of Persistent Organic Pollutants, okay, which is the major source of environmental, okay, challenges. See, keywords, the Stockholm Convention, okay, but POP, these are the chemicals. What are persistent organic? Which is a major source of, yes, challenges. What are the challenges faced by implementing POP? See, POPs are cheap, and the replacements for POP are very costly, and the main issue comes there only when the challenges for a developing country like India. We are a resource scarce country. We have very limited resources. So the moment I read this question, I have framed the answer within few minutes. First, define what are POPs. These are the just these are not just any organic chemicals. Okay, these are molecularly stable. They are molecularly stable. You please write it down on a sheet. These are molecularly stable organic chemical substances with particular physical and chemical properties that once released in environment remain intact. Now, why they are remaining intact? Because they are molecularly stable. They have a very stable molecular structure. Stable molecular structure, which is heat resistant, which is resistant to any other physical changes. That's why they remain intact for exceptionally long period of time. The compound whose molecular structure is unstable will degrade fast, and these are molecularly stable, so they remain intact. That is the game. Okay. One cardinal word that you must mention whenever such organic pollutants are there is LRET, long range environmental transport. That is transport over spatial scales. This is the first word in the body that you need to mention. Second comes bioaccumulation, which is written here. And third is biomagnification. There, it's not written here. Biomagnification. Biomagnification. These are the three things that you need to write. The rest you don't need to write. Everybody knows that they are toxic. Bird shells are getting thinner. That's why the eggs are being broken while before they get hatched. And this is how many bird species are on the verge of extinction. You know, but these are the three cardinal words. LRET. What is LRET? Long range environmental transport. Second is bioaccumulation, and third is biomagnification. We'll get here. Okay. So if you want me to explain what is biomagnification or bioaccumulation, I will do it. But for that, I need to, because those are not related to this thing, important concepts. Just if someone messages me, then I'll definitely explain. Okay? Another thing, now in way forward, why this question is there? Because recently, Center has issued a draft to ban 27 pesticides. Now, persistent organic pollutants. Organic pollutants are nothing but, not all pesticides are organic pollutants, but most of the organic pollutants are pesticides. So, Stockholm Convention is a global treaty which entered in 2004. Okay. which entered into 2004. Later, uh, center has issued a draft to ban 27 pesticides. Okay, and as we know that 12 POP, dirty dozen, where it is dirty dozens. See, this is the dirty dozen of 2011. That is how you need to write. India ratified Stockholm Convention in 2006, 2006. Dirty dozen 2011, and recently, I think a year back, Center has released a draft to ban 27 pesticides. Many environmentalists have welcomed it. So, okay. So, okay. Priyanka and Jyoti, they are saying, sir, please explain biomagnification. Okay, good. I'll do. Mm, See, these are the three keywords, as I said. In any pesticide, in any organic pollutants, or any form of chemical pollution, okay, mostly organophosphates or like those chemicals, you need to write these three things: long-range environmental transport (LRET). Second is biomagnification. Third is bioaccumulation. So, what is these two terms? These are very easy. For example, uh, we will take an example that if we spray some, for example, organophosphate like pyrathione, if I spray it on my cotton field, then I sprayed this to either prevent or kill the bugs that are going to eat the cotton ball of my plant. So what I will do is I will spray this poison, which is a nerve poison, on the cotton plant, and the bug will be in touch with it, and the bug will die. Okay, the bug will die. That dead corpse, the dead body of that bug will be eaten by a frog, or that bug might not die. It's just paralyzed, and the frog comes and eats. So if the bug was exposed to the organophosphate poison or the pesticide, for example, 1 milligram has accumulated in one bug. So in 10 days, it will accumulate 10 milligram. These are examples, just example. Huh? Don't go by the statistics. This is just for understanding. So the bug on the first day, it was 1 milligram. On the 10th day, it is 10 milligram. So this is bioaccumulation. The toxin is accumulating in the same bug. And on 10th day, the bug dies. The bug dies and is eaten by a frog. So what is the first amount of exposure for a frog? He is eating a bug with 10 milligram of poison in it. And this is the first exposure is of 10 milligram. But frog does not eat a single bug. Frog eats at least 50 bugs. So 10 into 50 bugs in his lifetime, it goes to 500 milligram of the pesticide. So this is biomagnification, because when a snake will eat a frog, the first exposure of snake will be to the 500 milligram quantity of the poison, and snake will eat at least 10 frog. So the body of snake is now carrying 5,000 milligram of the pesticide. So what started in a bug with 1 milligram, after 10 days it turned into in the same bug for 10 days 10 milligram. This was bioaccumulation. The poison is accumulating in the same body, but a frog is going to eat 50 bugs. That's how at each trophic level, it is going to multiply in 10 times, 10x times. So that is magnification. So this is how it starts, and the quantity of poison magnifies in the upper trophic levels. So this is bioaccumulation and biomagnification. And that's why it's very hazardous, because it is threatful for the upper species. There are many bugs, there are many frogs, but there are very few snakes which are predator, and much fewer mongoose much fewer eagle, because snakes are being eaten by mongoose or the eagle, and nobody eats eagle, nobody hunts eagle. So there are very few eagles. So it is high possibility that first eagle might disappear from this earth. See, Priyanka, these were the example, the numerical example I quoted. Just don't write it in the answer. I just mentioned from example for simplifying the concept. So yes, but just don't use this thing. Okay. It was just for your understanding, and I hope you all understood it. So see, it's very positive that you are interacting. You all are interacting, because this makes conversation two-sided, and this is how we see if question comes on this. Now you can write beautifully. These three words you need to mention, and you will definitely score very good marks in this question. And this not only this question, but this will also be creating a very good impression that the student is not just another reader, but it is a holistic reader. He or she has understood the concepts to the depth that are required in the UPSC. Okay. In forward, you can write National Implementation Plan. Yes, NIP in 2011. Uh, I think Jairam Ramesh was the Minister of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, and he was a very sensitive minister. So all the good things in Environment Ministry, though it has happened around 2010, 11, in those times. Just to make you the link, okay? Don't write any personal names also in the paper. National Implementation Plan. Fifth, we will speed up, okay? We are very slow. One more question. Examine the challenges in adoption of artificial intelligence technology with Indian healthcare. Now restrict yourself to AI and healthcare, okay? And don't be too descriptive about what is AI, what is healthcare system in India, because the question is not what is AI. The question is on the challenges in the adoption of AI in healthcare, and that too in Indian healthcare, because Indian, American, West, every healthcare is different. So first, what I will do in such question, I will write a definition of AI. Similar pattern, double inverted commas. Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and mimic like human intelligence through their actions. Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines, simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and mimic like humans through their action. Okay, so see, this is question is about challenges. So it's not wise to write the advantages first. Okay, you after definition you directly answer to the demand of the question, because time is very scarce in examination hall. You hardly finish your paper within 1 or 2 minutes before the commencement or before the end of the exam. Okay, so directly after definition, directly go to the challenges, and in way forward we can add some advantages. Okay, so what are the challenges? First is policy challenge. Health is a state subject. Okay, health is a state subject, and we have different health models in different states. So an artificial intelligence is an algorithm based model which goes towards uniformity. From diversity, it goes towards uniformity. It collects the diverse data and it tries to modulate it into the single mainstream. See, so this might go against the federalism. A uniform AI policy might be seen by some state as an encroachment in their own jurisdiction. So health is a self subject. So and each state has their different health models. So that will be a policy challenge to formulate a single AI policy for the diverse health systems in different states in India. Okay, so this is the first technical challenge that adoption might face. Another will be the institutional reluctance or institutional hesitancy. I'll write that word, okay, for you. This is the word. What is this? That the established doctors, which is a very strong lobby. I myself, being a medical practitioner and a doctor, I know the doctor lobby is a very influential lobby in this country. That they even influence the legislation. So we can term them as a pressure group. Also, Indian Medical Association is one kind of a legitimate pressure group only. So they might be reluctant to use AI because they may see of themselves, as it is said, in de-enfranchising from their own role. Okay. Yeah. Disenfranchising them from their key roles and decision-making powers. Right. This is true. This might happen. Then this is a very big challenge. So this is an institutional hesitancy. Another is directly come on the infrastructure. What is the status of digital infrastructure? We have urban-rural divide. We have even gender divides when it comes to the e-connectivity or digital literacy. We see that urban areas are having good digital infrastructure and literacy than in rural areas. And we see that it also has some gender divide. So that will also be a challenge. Plus, uh, the point is not mentioned here, but I will write that point if such question comes. Who will take the ethical responsibility if a patient is treated on the basis of the algorithm or the artificial intelligence, and if things go wrong, and if it turns out that the treatment was wrong, which resulted into the morbidity or mortality in the worst case scenario of the patient or patients, then who will be responsible? Whom to hold accountable? In today's time, the practitioner or the medical doctor and the healthcare professional, they can be held accountable under medical negligence or inquiry or departmental inquiry. But who is going to hold the computer or artificial intelligence responsible? This is an ethical dilemma. Okay, so this is also very challenging to formulate. Who exactly will be responsible if the computer goes wrong or the AI is going wrong? Because AI itself has its own mind. Way forward, definitely. During COVID pandemic, where you can write very beautifully. Arogya Setu app, you can mention. It definitely, it was AI based, help fighting virus via machine learning application. Population screening, medical help, physical distancing, Arogya Setu. Definitely you should mention it, Arogya Setu. Another thing is National Health Stack. It's not written here. You just write it down, National Health Stack. It is an electronic national health registry, single source for health data of our nation. Now, NHS, why it was made? To reduce the inclusion-exclusion error and create a uniform health registry of every citizen in this country, so that schemes like Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana can be run efficiently. Just imagine if the health details of everyone is already in the hand of nation authorities, and if artificial intelligence is working on it, so not just health management, but also health insurance, healthcare schemes, they can be very efficient and highly useful. So, National Health Stack, digital health record or registry of our nation. If it is combined with AI, we have very good prospects. So, these are the positive way forward that you need to write. One is COVID. So, you have linked it with the current affairs. COVID, then Arogya Setu, okay, Arogya Setu, and NHS plus AI. This is the innovation you need to write. Rest you can read. Okay. Considering the role of NGOs, okay, non-profit organization in reaching out the section of people often left untouched. Analyze how the FCRA, okay, yeah. Recently, Home Ministry has made very strict rules regarding foreign contribution regulation limited. Yes, foreign FCRA accounts. See, right. Uh, Start with the definition of NGO. Now, who will define what is NGO? What is an organization which is not a government organization? So, World Bank has given a good definition. World Bank, that these are not for a profit organization that pursue activities in social, environmental, and the social environmental activities, and also promote the interest of poor. These are the NGOs are the registered under Societies Act of 1860. 1860. Now, okay. Directly come to the demand of the question. FCRA 2020 will amount FCRA of 2010 with new provision. What is that? Public servants now will be prohibited to accept any foreign contribution. Yes, we are a globalized world. We send and receive diplomats. We send and receive the high government officials, and definitely there is a slight possibility that some or few, not all definitely, may be compromised by the various lucrative tactics played by the other side of the other players, other country. So this is a very good step that public servants are now prohibited. This is the first thing. This is not just economic prohibition, but it has an implication of national security and sovereignty also. We see many of our senior officials being targeted uh, by the espionage agencies of the other countries. We regularly read in the Hindu. Yes. Compulsion of Aadhaar number. Yes, this is to reduce the duplication. Okay, right. This is a very good thing, and only in the account designated by bank. Who will be the authority for designation? The bank notified by the central government or home ministry. Impact. First, positives. This is how, but just write, don't write this much, don't be so verbose. Just write impact. Then you can write like this, and then you can write this. Impact. Positive impact, negative impact. Definitely, there ये दोनों भी implication होने वाले हैं. Positive भी होगा और negative भी होगा. Okay? So in positive, there are many NGOs which are having hidden agendas, which are having hidden agenda to obstruct the developmental projects, to spread the religious conversions in our country, specifically in the low socio-economic strata or the tribal pockets of our country. And they were also having a hidden agenda to create the social tension and social unrest in India, so that our maximum resources and manpower and human resources will be invested only in the law and order situation of our country, and thus slowing the pace of our economic growth story. Okay, so definitely there are some NGOs with many NGOs with which are whose activities are doubtful. So this will arrest this one. Plus, Aadhaar mandation will reduce the duplication. Cons: only 20% of the foreign funds received can be spent on administrative. That means now NGOs will have to cut down on their employment. These are the local Indian people who are employed, so they may lose their employment. Present limit is 50%. Now only 20% can be made expenditure on the administration. Yes. Uh, See, yes, impacting the livelihood of worker associated. Low fund NGOs will not sustain, and yes, their research and development and creative will be hampered because the funds are being now cut. What we can write? I think there was a committee on NGOs. You might Google also. I'm not sure. D. Sivaraman committee or something on the role and regulation of NGO. You can quote in way forward. The committee D. Sivaraman. I'm not sure. Just you Google first, and then I'm just memorizing the fact. That recommendation were also good. First, but in my way forward, what I will write. What are the constitutional provision for NGO? NGO is an association. So Article 19, 1, subsection C. Article 19, 1C. Right to form association. It's constitutionally protected right to mark an NGO. Article 43. DPSP. See, everything is connected. Huh? Article 43. To promote cooperatives in rural areas. State shall endeavor to promote cooperatives in rural areas. So, Article 19, 1, subsection C, Article 43. 43 cooperatives in rural areas. Okay. So, these are two constitutional mandation, and recently we can also blend it with current affairs, like in the migrant crisis during COVID lockdown. Many NGOs have come forward and has done a remarkable job in pacifying the situation. Okay. Also, I would write that NGO is a voice to voiceless and a face of faceless. Those poor sections who does not have voice or face in the highest corridors of power, NGOs are their agents, NGOs are their representatives, which voice their concern and which put the issues, the challenges faced by the sections where government has not reached. Okay, so this is how you end. Explain the Shekatkar committee. Shekatkar committee, now we will speed up. Okay, we are losing so much of time. Shekatkar committee, everybody knows, it was formed in 2015. Okay, and submitted its report in 2016. He was Lieutenant General retired D.B. Shekatkar. When you will qualify mains, uh, uh, you might get a mock interview with Shekatkar sir, and he is a very good person. You might personally also meet him. Okay, so he takes mock interview for few classes in Delhi for the interview people. So you might meet him also. So committee of experts. This is the first thing. Okay. So thank you, Priyanka. Committee on NGO is okay. S. Vijay Kumar, not A. S. Vijay Kumar. Thank you. Vijay Kumar. I'll also remember. So, Committee of Experts, COE, Ministry of Defense, Chairmanship of Shekatkar. The question itself has the name. Okay, December 2016. India shares approximately 3,600 kilometer border with China, and only Border Road Organization BRO comes under Ministry of Defense. Now they are responsible to build the connectivity and logistical infrastructure in the border areas. Stand up Daulat Memoldi area of Ladakh in April 2013, then again in 2020, same area, plus Sikkim, Arunachal, okay, the Doklam standoff. These were so committee on expert. What they have said, they have recommended some reforms, but the core thing that you must remember is what there are. These are the keywords: enhance the combat capability and rebalance the defense expenditure. These are the we spend very heavily on defense, so we need to cut the budget there in a way that our combat capability is not compromised. So it's like a seesaw. If you are cutting on your defense expenditure, then your combat capability is will reduce. Means if you, so there has to be a rebalancing of both. So to increase combat capability, you need to spend more, but we don't have more money. So definitely we need to strike the balance. So that's why the word there, the rebalance, rebalance. So these two words are keywords. Then you can write China developed Goldie incidents of 2013-20. Yes, BRO, it has understaffed and overburdened. These are the keywords. Border Road Organization is understaffed and overburdened. So yes, private partners are now the need of time. Engineering, procurement, corporate, EPC. Okay, quality cannot be compromised. Right. Challenges: BRO failing to meet deadlines of construction. Right. CAG has also questioned the slow progress. These are strategic points for India, India's national security, and we cannot afford to delay a project there. So way forward, definitely. Sweeping changes are required. Successful long-distance quantum communication link ushers in the new era of communication security. Explain. The world's first quantum Mica satellite. Yes, you can remember this. China quantum bits. Do you know what exactly this quantum communication means? Do you have any idea about it? Please message in the chat option. Okay? If you have any idea about it. So it is for long-range secure communication. Yes, just remember quantum communication, Mica satellite by China. Yes, intertwined photons. What is quantum? Quantum is energy pocket. A pocket light particle. So intertwined or entangled photons or light particles whose properties remain same no matter how far apart they are. अगर हमने एक फोटोन के साथ छेड़छाड़ की तो दूसरा भी उसी तरह बन जाएगा. So अगर एक्सपेन आपने देखा है तो आप थोड़ा रिलेट कर पाएंगे कि if we try to crack the information out of one photon, the other will change its structure to this one only. So they will run parallelly, and you won't be able to enter the system to get the information. Only the person who is having the information of the other nature of other photon only can access this. So only authenticated, it cannot be hacked. It cannot be hacked. Okay. So how normal computers process? It processes in bits, B-I-T, yes, bits. What is bits? Bi means 2. Okay. So for example, a process is 1. It can be 1 or 0. Okay. This is conventional computer. Process कंप्यूटर की प्रोसेस फॉर एग्जांपल 1 हो सकती है या 0 हो सकती है. But what is quantum bits or qubits is the process where a process of computing where it can be both 1 as well as 0, 1 and 0 at the same time, which is called as superimposition of qubits. And this is that phenomenon जिस वजह से कितना भी बढ़िया हैकर हो वो कोड क्रैक नहीं कर पाएगा, क्योंकि वो 1 भी है और 0 भी है. वो प्रोसेस, वो मैसेज, वो सिग्नल, वो इंक्रिप्शन, वो 1 भी है और 0 भी है. तो एग्जैक्टली वो क्या है वो सिर्फ सामने वाले को पता है, तो हैकर को ये नहीं पता चलेगा. ये क्यूबिट्स है. सो यस, वे फॉरवर्ड में आप लिख सकते हैं secured communication sign that we are already living in a new area of communication security. Why communication security? because in this world of filled with misinformation, clarity is power, information is power. So that's why we need to settle our communications line on the highest possible way. That's why Union Budget 2020 now comes the that single extra mark जिसके लिए हम सब फाइट कर रहे हैं. 2020-21 Union Budget has said about 8,000 crore rupees expenditure provision, 8,000 crores on national mission. This is a very important term. National mission on quantum technologies and application. You can read it in Union Budget. It is there. National mission on quantum technologies and applications. It is a step in right direction. This is the way forward. That's it. You got an extra one more. I think we are now already 75 minutes are talking. We will take a 2 minutes break and then we will okay, we'll come back to it.
ఈవినింగ్ ఏంటి 3 పూట రాత్రి వేసుకున్నాను.
We have less time with us, so we will now skip those questions which are very easy and simple, and we will definitely will be talking on questions which require attention. Okay, so I'll just explain you the approaches now. Discuss the challenges in controlling the degradation of groundwater. First thing, don't try every other fresh water. Fresh waters are on glaciers, underground, lakes, dams, rivers, reservoirs, whatever it may be. We will be restricting ourselves to the groundwater. Question is like that. It's a assertive sentence. So you can start with such introduction, but it will be better if you will write directly challenges. Okay, in degradation means it's groundwater stress. So again, map of India. Sorry, I have a difficulty with this mouse. So draw a map of India. On it, you know that north is Punjab, Haryana, western Uttar Pradesh. These are highly water stress in underwater. Okay, due to definitely over exploitation for agriculture. Uh, the pockets of southern India, Tamil Nadu, groundwater based irrigation, parts of Andhra Pradesh, Rayalaseema, coastal Simandhra, groundwater level is low. Marathwada, Vidarbha, water stress. Bundelkhand, Bagelkhand. Okay, so just map of India, and this is water stress, groundwater. Okay, so definitely you should put Water Resource Institute has ranked India as the 13th country among the 17 extremely water stressed countries. Right? Yes. Northern states, as I said, Punjab, Haryana, highly depleted. Western, true, Marathwada, Vidarbha. Dharwad area also I think is water stressed. Southern parts, Tamil Nadu, um, uh, Rayalaseema, yes, groundwater irrigation. Why this has happened? Over exploitation, reckless exploitation. We have power subsidies. Uh, because of power subsidies, the water pumps in the fields and farms, they keep running. Easement Act, yes, it is mentioned, I think. Easement Act is there. Where is the Easement Act? Inadequate, yes. The Easement Act of 1882 allows the owner of the land to collect and dispose within those limit all water under the land and on its surface. So this was a colonial act which was designed for the reclamation of resources, and it's unfortunate that we are still continuing the same. Yes, energy subsidy, power subsidies, over extraction. What the practicing of water guzzler crops, which are water intensive, like wheat, paddy, sugarcane. MSPs for wheat rice, FRPs for sugarcane. That means institutional support and pricing mechanism is there, which creates highly skewed incentive structures in favor of wheat and paddy. Which yes. So these are the issues. Way forward, you can beautifully write Mihir Shah committee recommendation. Mihir Shah. Mihir Shah committee recommendation. Or the Mihir Shah Committee report titled 21st Century Institutional Architecture for India Water Reform. The 21st Century Institutional Architecture for India's Water Reforms. Mihir Shah Committee recommendation, which lay stress on debureaucratization of water management, focusing on the demand side. The supply side पे काम हुआ, building dams, reservoirs, water linkages, water pipelines. ये supply side management हो गया. Government has done a very good role in that. But now time has come that we shift our focus to the government has worked on supply side water infrastructure. Now time has come to focus on demand side. Demand side means consumption level. By increasing the water sensitivity first. Indians are very poor when it comes to water sensitivity. We use the resource as if there is no need. Okay? This is water sensitivity, then water productivity. Second thing, water productivity, water sensitivity, water productivity. This is how we will go forward. Third question, Indian Gas Exchange. Everybody knows gas exchange means fair and open bidding, fair marketplace, common platform, transparent, inclusive, sense of competition, element of competition बढ़ा देगा, मार्केट ड्रिवन होगा. सबसे बड़ी बात, कोई भी एक्सचेंज होता है, अगर किसी कमोडिटी को आप उस पर लाते हैं तो वो मार्केट पे होगा, जहाँ बायर्स और सेलर्स they both can trade. ये बात लिखिए, बायर्स एंड सेलर्स आ गया. देखिए, ट्रेड बोथ इन स्पॉट मार्केट एंड फॉरवर्ड मार्केट. स्पॉट मार्केट मतलब नाम में लिखा हुआ है, उसी स्पॉट पर पूरा ट्रेड हो जाएगा, ट्रांजैक्शन हो जाएगा. फॉरवर्ड मार्केट में ट्रेडिंग हो जाएगी, बट जो फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन है वो अगले स्टेप में या बाद में. नाम भी लिखा है. वही बात है कि आपको एलएनजी टर्मिनल्स बनाने हैं. क्यों बनाने हैं? देखिए, ऊर्जा गंगा, यस, ईस्टर्न इंडिया ग्रिड, इंद्रधनुष प्रोजेक्ट इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट. तीन नाम आने चाहिए. कोलबेड मिचेल पॉलिसी. ठीक है, जैसे मैंने पिछले बताया कि जो गैस एक्सचेंज है, ये गवर्नमेंट प्लान्स टू इंक्रीज द नेचुरल गैस कंजम्पशन, टू डाइवर्सिफाई आवर एनर्जी बास्केट to 15% from current 6%. Gas-based economy. And why gas-based economy? It is clean, it is cheap, and it is efficient. Clean, cheap, and efficient. Organic system of agriculture. Analyze the performance. Okay. जो हमने what government has done, we have to analyze the performance. Okay. Again. The performance, organic market. ठीक, डायरेक्टली मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स का एक ये है ग्राफ बना दो. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स ने ग्राफ दिया है ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्शन. इसमें सबसे ज्यादा होता है ऑयल सीड. फर्स्ट इज ऑयल सीड. दिस इज 6 lakh ton. 6 lakh ton oil seed. Then cereals and sugar crops. Cereals and sugar crops. This is 4 lakh tons. This is tons. Fiber crops 2 lakh ton. Pulses 2 lakh. Cotton, fiber, pulses. So see, ऐसे डाल सकते हो कि हमने मिनिस्ट्री सोर्सेज मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री की वेबसाइट से प्रोडक्शन इन लाख टन्स. ऑयल सीड ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट्स है, डेफिनेटली ऑयल सीड सबसे ज्यादा हम बना रहे हैं. उसके बाद सीरियल्स एंड शुगर्स 4 लाख टन्स पे. फिर 3 पे फाइबर क्रॉप्स एंड पल्सेस. दिस वाज द क्रॉप वाइज परफॉर्मेंस. बाकी कुछ लिखने का जरूरत नहीं है, आपने पढ़ा हुआ ही है. सिक्किम को बिल्कुल मेंशन करना, बिकॉज इट वाज द फर्स्ट स्टेट. एवरीबॉडी इज ओके विद हिंदी, ना? इट्स मिक्स ऑफ इंडियन इंग्लिश. So please mention Sikkim. That state has done a remarkable job, but again, it's a geographically small state, so they can have such an ambitious target of 100% organic state. Other states have their practical realities and some compulsions. So, but that is an idea matter. What are the challenges? Lack of awareness, definitely. Awareness की कमी है. बैकवर्ड और फॉरवर्ड लिंकेजेस की कमी है ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए, मतलब मार्केटिंग मैकेनिज्म नहीं. प्लस थोड़ा इनिशियली कॉस्टली एंटरप्राइज होता है, सब्सिक्वेंटली ओवरऑल कॉस्ट ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर रिड्यूस होती है इन ईयर्स. उतना पेशेंस होना चाहिए. सी, लैक ऑफ मार्केटिंग है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क है. If you go to a supermarket and just observe, organic products are 5-10 rupees costlier than the government stems. Yes, Paramparagath Krishi Vikas Yojana, mission of organic value chain development of northeastern region. और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट फॉरवर्ड में आपको लिखना होगा, ठीक है, SDG 2 वगैरह ठीक है, बट हमारा खुद का एक नेशनल मिशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर है. ठीक है। नेशनल मिशन ऑन सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर है, तो वो आपको कोट करना जरूरी है। और डीपीएस की 47 which deals with, which makes a state imperative to raise the level of nutrition. Second, another question: India has adequate overall food security without nutrition security. Okay. Question is self-explanatory. India has adequate food security without nutrition security. There is no question mark, so it's a assertive sentence और आपको यही सत्य मान के इसी को एक्सप्लेन करना है। यहाँ पे आपके पास चॉइस नहीं है, तो हाँ ये मान लो कि इंडिया के पास एडिक्वेट फूड सिक्योरिटी है बट न्यूट्रिशन सिक्योरिटी नहीं है। सो अगेन कि हमारे पास क्वांटिटेटिवली हमने वी हैव फुलफिल्ड द क्राइटेरिया, बट क्वालिटेटिवली वी आर स्टिल लैगिंग बिहाइंड। द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट हिडन हंगर. It's not just a plain hunger, but it's nutrient deficiency, micronutrient deficiency. So, the qualitative aspect of National Nutrition Mission. So, देखिए एक तो क्वालिटी ऑफ फूड पे लिखो और उसके बाद एब्सॉर्प्शन भी बहुत जरूरी होता है। If you eat nutrient food but it is not absorbing into your body, so it's again nutrient deficiency. Again, you can yes definitely quote the Lancet Commission report. This is important here. Average daily calorie consumption in India is below recommended 2500 kilocalorie per capita per day across all social groups except the richest 5. तो ठीक है, लो कैलोरी फूड्स वगैरह वो सब लिख सकते हैं। पॉलिसी में नेशनल न्यूट्रिशन मिशन और पोषण अभियान ये दो कोट करो तो बस। रीजंस फॉर स्लो प्रोग्रेस टुवर्ड्स न्यूट्रिशन सिक्योरिटी। फर्स्ट, हर चीज में हमारे पास डेटा नहीं है, एडिक्वेट डेटा नहीं है, उस वजह से प्लानिंग अच्छी नहीं हो पाती, उस वजह से एक्सिक्यूशन अच्छा नहीं होता। सो इनएडिक्वेट और सब स्टैंडर्ड डेटा फर्स्ट। Second question is top-down approach without sensitizing the community and making new partnership planning execution. Food is not just food has cultural and religious aspects also. And India is a very emotional country, so we have cultural dimensions to food and nutrition also. So top-down approach will not work. We will need to decentralize this approach. Okay. वर्टिकल प्रोग्राम्स विद कोर कन्वर्जेंस एंड सिनर्जी, ये तो कहीं भी लिख सकते हैं आप, ये पॉइंट आप रख लो। ये जीएस 1 2 3 4 एसेस और ऑप्शनल सब तरफ आप लिख पाओगे। वर्टिकल प्रोग्राम्स विद कोर कन्वर्जेंस एंड सिनर्जी बिटवीन फंक्शंस ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री एंड डिपार्टमेंट्स, ठीक है। वे फॉरवर्ड में ये ठीक है, एसडीजी वगैरह ठीक है। अगेन डीपीएस की 47 deals with raising the level of nutrition, constitutionally mandated theme है। उसके बाद में give FSSAI teeth, food standards, food safety and standards authority of India, इसको मेंशन करना ही पड़ेगा जब भी न्यूट्रिशन की बात आएगी। FSSAI under the Act of 2006 it is autonomous body under Ministry of Family Welfare. It does not come under any agriculture or food ministry. Okay, health ministry में आता है, न्यूट्रिशन या हेल्थ इशू है, तो उसके अंदर हम साइंटिफिक ब्रेक थ्रू भी यूज कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि गोल्डन राइस यूज्ड विद रेटिनॉल ए, विटामिन ए राइस, ये खाओगे तो आपको विटामिन ए मिलेगा। तो ये फोर्टिफाइड राइस है, गोल्डन राइस। डबल फोर्टिफाइड सॉल्ट, पहले सिर्फ आयोडीन युक्त नमक खाता था, आयरन प्लस आयोडीन, फेरस आयरन प्लस कोविडिन आयोडीन आयरन, ये डबल फोर्टिफाइड सॉल्ट बोलते हैं। एफएसएसआई के कुछ कैंपेन इनिशिएटिव है, ईट राइट इंडिया मूवमेंट है, ईट राइट इंडिया मूवमेंट एंड आज से थोड़ा कम मूवमेंट, सोडा शुगर सॉल्ट एंड ऑयल फैट्स थोड़े थोड़े कम करने हैं हर एक में डाइट। इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट is key constraint in India's economy. ठीक है, इसमें कुछ भी नहीं, आप एक डायग्राम बनाओ, क्योंकि सेक्टर वाइज कंस्ट्रेंट्स पूछा है और 10 मार्क का क्वेश्चन है तो उस पर पूरा ऐसे नहीं लिखना है, सेक्टर लिख दो, सेक्टर लिख दो, उसे सब बोल करो और एक एक सेक्टर लो। लॉजिस्टिक्स, ठीक है, लॉजिस्टिक्स उसे ऐसे 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 दे देना। लॉजिस्टिक्स में क्या है कि कॉस्ट ऑफ लॉजिस्टिक्स इज 40% ऑफ द टोटल कॉस्ट विच इज वेरी हाई इन इंडिया। यूएसए में यही 8% है, जापान में 6% है, ठीक है। तो इस वजह से लॉजिस्टिक्स का ये कंस्ट्रेंट है इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट। बहुत पैसा हमारा ट्रांसपोर्ट और लॉजिस्टिक्स में खर्चा हो जाता है, उस वजह से कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बढ़ जाता है। दैट्स व्हाई आवर प्रोडक्ट्स बिकम अनकंपीटिटिव इन इंटरनेशनल मार्केट, बिकॉज वो उनके रिस्पेक्टिव कंट्रीज में वो बहुत कम है, जैसे यूएसए में 8% है, जापान में तो 6% में हो जाता है। ये क्यों है? क्योंकि हम रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट पे हेवीली रिलाई करते हैं आज भी, और रेलवे ट्रांसपोर्ट फ्रेट कॉरिडोर डेडिकेटेड नहीं है। वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट हमारा बहुत अंडर डेवलप होता है, तो ये लॉजिस्टिक्स में आता है। लॉजिस्टिक परफॉर्मेंस इंडेक्स ऑफ वर्ल्ड बैंक भी यही कहता है, और कनेक्टिविटी इशू है। दूसरा सेक्टर है एनर्जी। एनर्जी में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आएगा कि इंपोर्ट पेट्रोलियम बहुत ज़्यादा डिपेंड करते हैं, हम डर्टी कोल यूज़ करते हैं, और बहुत सारे डिस्कॉम कंपनीज भी परेशान है क्योंकि AT&T लॉसेस है, ट्रांसमिशन लॉसेस है, ये सब क्योंकि ये पुअर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की वजह से हो रहा है। हेल्थ में है, हेल्थ में वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं दे पाए। कोविड में हमें पता चला कि हमारे पास ICU बेड्स और वेंटिलेटर की बहुत कमी है आज भी, और ये इसलिए इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि इंडिया has one of the best doctors and medical health professionals in this world, and we have very cheap, very affordable healthcare system. So बहुत सारे मिडिल ईस्ट के देश और साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज हमारी तरफ आती है मेडिकल टूरिज्म के लिए, और मेडिकल टूरिस्ट आएंगे और उन्हें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मिलेगा, ये चैलेंज है, उससे हमारा डैमेज हो सकता है। एविएशन में, एविएशन एज यू नो कैपिटल इंटेंसिव सेक्टर है, लैंड एक्विजिशन रिमेन्स अ चैलेंज। नवी मुंबई एयरपोर्ट कब से प्रपोज हुआ है, अभी कहीं जाकर लैंड एक्विजिशन हुआ, सालों साल बीत जाते हैं। स्किल्ड वर्कफोर्स लगता है एविएशन जैसे सेक्टर को, जो अगेन एक हमारे लिए चैलेंज। इसी तरह से आप एविएशन तक पोर्ट्स कर सकते हैं, पोर्ट्स, मेजर पोर्ट, माइनर पोर्ट। मेजर पोर्ट इज अ सेंट्रल सब्जेक्ट, माइनर पोर्ट इज अ स्टेट सब्जेक्ट, फिर वो सिनर्जी का प्रॉब्लम आ जाता है, अलग अलग रूल्स, अलग अलग रेगुलेशंस, तो इस वजह से इन्वेस्टमेंट आती है। ये आप पढ़ सकते हैं। डबलिंग ऑफ फार्मर इनकम, ये इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है। या जब से ही डबलिंग ऑफ फार्मर इनकम क्वेश्चन आएगा, आप जस्ट रिमेंबर कि अशोक दलवाई कमेटी था, गवर्नमेंट ने बनाया, अशोक दलवाई, अशोक दलवाई। तो मैंने इसे याद कैसे रखा था, अशोक दुबलाई, दलवाई को DOBL, डबलिंग फार्मर इनकम, दुबलाई, अशोक दुबलाई। तो ये मैंने ट्रिक रखा था, याद रखने के लिए। डबलिंग ऑफ फार्मर इनकम। फिर क्या बात करेंगे कि 2015-16 को बेस ईयर पकड़ो, 2020-22 तक 5 साल में हमें फार्मर इनकम डबल करना है। उसके लिए डबल डिजिट ग्रोथ करना पड़ेगा, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 11% हो गया है इन्फ्लेशन को पकड़ के, ठीक है। तो सिंपल, रिड्यूसिंग द कॉस्ट ऑफ इनपुट, हाई यील्ड वैरायटीज को शिफ्ट करो, क्रॉप को डाइवर्सिफाई करो, इसे क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट करो, और ये यहाँ करो पंजाब हरियाणा यूपी में, क्योंकि वो ज्यादा बदलेंगी। फर्स्ट प्रोडक्टिविटी ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर को बढ़ाओ, क्योंकि जीरो विलेज है, सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर ये करना पड़ेगा। Shifting extra workforce away from agriculture. See, Indian agriculture has a phenomenon called as disguised unemployment, where the marginal productivity always remains zero. So such disguised unemployed workforce, we need to shift them up and shift them out of the agricultural enterprise. ये करना ही पड़ेगा। क्या स्टेप्स लिए गए हैं? FPOs बनाए गए हैं 10,000 के बराबर। सीड बिल गवर्नमेंट किया गया है, सीड एक्ट 1966 का बना दिया है ताकि क्वालिटी सीड्स मिले बराबर। PM किसान स्मॉल फार्मर्स को दिया गया है। और लिखो क्या अशोक दलवाई कमेटी को मेंशन करो, तो इंडस्ट्रियल ब्लास्ट डेफिनेटली विशाखापट्टनम में हुआ है, तमिलनाडु में हुआ है, और हुआ है गुजरात में। ये केमिकल का याद नाम रखने की जरूरत नहीं है। स्टाइरिन गैस विशाखापट्टनम, तमिलनाडु में थर्मल पावर स्टेशन बॉयलर फूटा। भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी को भी इसमें ले सकते हैं, इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सीडेंट नहीं आती है, ठीक है। वहां से आज तक ज्यादा सीन नहीं चेंज हुआ है। क्यों होता है ये लिखना बहुत जरूरी है। मैनेजमेंट पे आपको लिखना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, और लूप होल्स पे बात करना पड़ेगा, और मेथड्स आपको बताना पड़ेगा क्यों होता है ये। बराबर ऐसा वर्ड मत लिखना, बट अनस्किल्ड और सेमी स्किल्ड वर्ड ऐसा लिखना, दैट इज मोर ऑफिसर्स लैंग्वेज। It's not good to call someone illiterate as they are working in chemical sector, थोड़ा बहुत तो जानते होंगे। So semi skilled और unskilled is the word, plus ये लिख सकते हैं कि SOPs तो फॉलो नहीं होती डेफिनेटली, they ignore the labor laws and labor codes। बेरूट ब्लास्ट, यस, बहुत बड़ा आपने वीडियो देखा होगा, इट्स बिकॉज बहुत बड़ा ब्लास्ट, ठीक है, वो लिख सकते हो। क्योंकि स्टॉक फाइलिंग होता है, हैजार्डस वेस्ट के सेफ्टी नॉर्म्स को ब्रीच करते हैं, डीलिंग ऑफ द हैजार्डस वेस्ट को नहीं कर सकते। सजेशन क्या है, जो चैलेंजेस है उसी को स्किल्ड मैन पावर लगाओ, अवेयरनेस दो, ऑक्यूपेशनल ट्रेनिंग दो, सेफ्टी ड्रिल्स, ये वेस्ट में होता है, इवन व्हाइट हाउस में किया जाता है सेफ्टी ड्रिल्स, हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज में। फिर डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटीज को ट्रेन करना चाहिए, रेजिलियंस बढ़ाना चाहिए, क्विक रिस्पांस टीम होनी चाहिए, एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट के अंडर इसको बना दिया गया है, इसके लिए एक सेपरेट एक्ट बनाओ, वही एक एक्ट में कितना करेंगे। एनजीटी को दूध दो, एनजीटी को पनिशमेंट का पावर, रिकमेंडेशन फॉर पनिशमेंट, मतलब उनका बहुत बाइंडिंग नहीं होता, that's why they don't have the tools, so एनजीटी को स्ट्रेंथन करो। इंडियन कूलिंग एक्शन प्लान, क्यों? क्योंकि एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ रहा है, अगेन द कूलिंग रेफ्रिजरेंट्स यूज, इससे आपको पता है कि फ्लोरोकार्बन्स यूज होते हैं, इलीगली यूज होते हैं, इलीगली also ozone depleting substances, potential hydrofluorocarbons आए हुए रिप्लेसमेंट के लिए, those are potent greenhouse gases। so ये challenges है कि कूलिंग on one hand वो कूल करता है, बट वो बाहर एग्जॉस्ट से गर्म हवा फेंकता है, तो दैट क्रिएट्स अ डोमिनो इफेक्ट, मींस बाहर और गर्मी बढ़ेगी तो अंदर और कूलिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ेगा, तो इसलिए आप फिर और टेम्परेचर एसी का कम करेंगे, उससे और गर्म एग्जॉस्ट हवा बाहर फेंकी जाएगी, और गर्मी से और कूलिंग का रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ाएगा। दिस इज हाउ अ स्पाइरल इज क्रिएटेड, विशियस साइकिल इज सेट, जिसका कोई अंत नहीं, जिसे डोमिनो इफेक्ट कहते हैं। और ये अर्बन हीट आइलैंड इफेक्ट को और बढ़ाता है, जो ऑलरेडी कंक्रीट और रेडियम के रेडिएशन से पहले ही बना है, एग्जॉस्ट से बना है, वो उसे और बढ़ा देता है। तो दैट्स व्हाई जो फॉग था दिल्ली का, नॉट स्मॉल, फॉग जो नेचुरल था, दैट इज डिसअपीयरिंग फ्रॉम दिल्ली सब्सिक्वेंटली, कोई रीजन है उसका। तो ये बहुत जरूरी, एक्चुअली इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इशू, ध्यान नहीं देता। बट इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट कंट्री जिसने ये कूलिंग एक्शन प्लान लाया है, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव कूलिंग एक्शन प्लान, प्लीज पढ़ लीजिए। की चैलेंजेस सिस्टम को डेवलप करते हैं। एसडीजी इंडिया इंडेक्स कौन बनाता है, आप प्लीज गूगल करें, इट इज गिवन बाय नीति आयोग, इट्स प्रिपेयर्ड बाय नीति आयोग, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स इंडिया इंडेक्स रिपोर्ट, ठीक है। यही बात आगे कि नेशनल इंडिकेटर फ्रेमवर्क, ये नेशनल एनआईपी कहा था, नेशनल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन प्रोग्राम, अभी हमने देखा, प्लीज कमेंट में लिख के बताना। ये एनआईएफ है, वो एनआईपी था, इसी चीजें याद रखनी पड़ती है। सॉरी, एक पॉइंट एक और अच्छा था, इंडिया कूलिंग अर्बन हीट आइलैंड इफेक्ट को कम कैसे किया जाए। इसमें केस स्टडी आप कोट कर सकते हैं। केस स्टडी अर्बन ट्रॉपिकल फॉरेस्ट, सिटी के बीच में एक ट्रॉपिकल रेन फॉरेस्ट बना दिया गया है, कंजर्व किया गया है। वो कहाँ है? रियो डी जेनेरो। रियो डी जेनेरो कहाँ है? ब्राजील। ब्राजील इज अ इक्वेटोरियल कंट्री, ट्रॉपिक्स भी जाते हैं वहाँ से। तो इंडिया जैसा ही क्लाइमेट है, इंडिया से थोड़ा गर्म ही होगा, बट सच अ मेट्रोपोलिस रियो डी जेनेरो इज, एंड रियो डी जेनेरो में they have successfully maintained the urban tropical rainforest. तो ऐसे लगेगा कि आप ट्रॉपिकल रेनफॉरेस्ट में आएंगे बट सिटी के बीच। सो न्यूयॉर्क के बीच में भी एक गार्डन है, बट न्यूयॉर्क ठंडा होता है। कूलिंग के आंसर में न्यूयॉर्क का सेंट्रल गार्डन इज नॉट अ गुड एग्जाम्पल। सो बट यस, अर्बन ट्रॉपिकल फॉरेस्ट ऑफ रियो डी जेनेरो इज गुड क्लासिकल स्टडी, केस स्टडी सर। टेक्निकल इंडिया फेस द वर्स्ट लोकस्ट अटैक। देखो यार, लोकस्ट अटैक में सबको पता है कि अफ्रीका से और मिडिल ईस्ट से ट्रैवल करते हैं, लॉन्ग स्पेल ऑफ ड्रॉट होता है, उसके बाद में बारिश आ जाती है, तो ग्रास ऊपर हेवी रेन्स की वजह से triggers a chemical reaction in their primitive brains. Serotonin, rush of serotonin causes them to band together and form what is called as swarms. ठीक है, FAO ने बताया है कि वो इंडिया, ईरान, पाकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, मिडिल ईस्ट, हॉर्न ऑफ अफ्रीका, ये वहाँ से आएगा। टेम्परेचर, एक डेवलपमेंट, सब ये उनके लिए अच्छा होता है। लोकस्ट अटैक अभी नहीं हो रहे, बहुत पहले से होते हैं, बस अभी उनका इंटेंसिटी बढ़ गया है क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से टेम्परेचर थोड़ा बढ़ गया है, और थोड़े हाई टेम्परेचर्स पे लोअर एनिमल्स जो होते हैं, लोअर एनिमल्स, इनका मेटाबॉलिज्म बढ़ जाता है, और इनका मेटाबॉलिज्म बढ़ गया तो इनकी भूख बढ़ती है, और ये उनके नेचुरल जो बाउंड्रीज में जहाँ फूड इन्हें सस्टेनेबल था, they breach those natural boundaries and they come into our habitations. They cross the geographical barriers in search of food, and it's like they are the army of maniacs. But they are not responsible. It's the climate change which is making them, because increased metabolism increases their reproduction. तो उनका quantity बढ़ रहा है और उनका भूख बढ़ रहा है, तो उनका population भी बढ़ रहा है, भूख भी बढ़ रहा है, इसलिए the natural ecosystem is not able to sustain. ये अटैक्स बढ़ गए हैं। ठीक है, लोकस्ट वार्निंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इंडिया पाकिस्तान साथ में काम करते थे। ठीक है, ये साउंड वाउंड ठीक है, विलेजर्स ने हम लोग किया, इनोवेटिव और नॉन टॉक्सिक एंड इको फ्रेंडली, ये बोल सकते हैं इसे थोड़ा सा। ये एरियल स्प्रेइंग करना पड़ेगा, और जो उनके ब्रीडिंग ग्राउंड है उन्हें टारगेट करना पड़ेगा। ये ब्रीडिंग ग्राउंड ईरान और पाकिस्तान में होंगे, तो वहाँ पे हमें डिप्लोमेसी से काम करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उसमें उनका भी फायदा है, हमारा भी फायदा है। Basic exchange and cooperation, BECA, India-USA military cooperation. BECA is one of the 4 foundational and enabling. ये mention करना है, this is a good introduction actually. ये बताता है examiner को कि you know other 3 agreements also. So foundational agreements, ये नहीं लिखना है, देखो इतना नहीं लिखना है, just नाम mention करो, जिसमें logistic exchange, COMCAS. Yes, these 3 आपको मेंशन करने हैं, बट BECA is the one which question is asking. So इसमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट क्या होगा, geospatial maps with 2 point military activities. Now post Balakot and post surgical strike, it's imperative that the Balakot was a preemptive military strike, preemptive non-military strike, non-military strike. So हमें यहाँ पे preemptive क्या है, तो ये हम स्पाइस गाइडेड बम वगैरह करते हैं, उसके लिए we need geospatial maps with 1 military to target exact establishments which we perceive as threat to our national security. So this is one. Drones, जमाना फ्यूचर मिलिट्री वेपन्स में ड्रोन्स का बहुत बड़ा काम होगा, गरुड़ा ड्रोन्स वगैरह हम लोग यहाँ यूएसए से, तो दैट्स व्हाई दे विद ड्रोन्स दे आर नाउ गिविंग देयर नेक्स्ट टेक्नोलॉजी. डिले क्यों हो रहा था? India is concerned about its strategic autonomy. India never compromises on strategic autonomy. We never give our bases for any other country. Very few countries, one India is from those very few group of countries where US का कोई military establishment base नहीं है. Pakistan also uses similar technology, uses similar US equipment, so it हमारे से help कर सकता है. Strategic relation with Russia, but ये point मत लिखना कि ये BECA को actually ये impediment नहीं था. India strategic autonomy बोलता है, तो the balance between US and Russia. So I think personally वे फॉरवर्ड ये ठीक है ऑटोनॉमी 4-5 बार मत मेंशन करना एक ही बार आप बॉडी में लिख दो Eka is definitely essential because military operation nature of military operation is changing we need exact geospatial data and in future the military operation will be coordinated form between 2 or more countries. So, this is a step in right direction. Section 69A of Information Technology Act, Cyber Security. Banning of mobile apps, Section 69A of IT Act. हमने क्या बताया था कि डिफेंस ऑफ इंडिया, सिक्योरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, प्रेजुडिस टू सोवरेनिटी एंड इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ इंडिया ये रीजंस थे. Because stealing and transmitting the data in unauthorized manners, server location outside India, targeting specific structure, healthcare, retail trade, energy, and media. These are high assets. These are, अगर आप देखें तो, these are very important sectors where data can be used to make money. Okay. Cyber attacks, banking and finance, yes. National CERT in way forward में आपको लिखना है. Cyber success के अंदर the last means they asked about Cyber Dome project of Kerala which was on similar flag. डिजिटल इकोनॉमी कमी है बट डिजिटल लिटरेसी को बढ़ाओ, वल्नरेबिलिटी कम करो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अच्छे से बनाओ, क्विक रिस्पांस टीम बनाओ, इंटीग्रेटेड डेटा क्लाउड बनाओ, साइबर resilience. So this is how we have completed questions. Few of the questions because of time constraint, I reached the time limit and but बहुत जो जिसमें कॉन्सेप्ट था वो आपको अच्छे से समझाए गए और ये जो एग्जॉस्टिव थे जहाँ आपको डेटा याद रखना है, the questions where you need to memorize the data. So those part I थोड़े fast speed up किया because in examination you have to make some such similar choices. Speed up and fast and what knowledge you have, you might not be able to write all the knowledge that you want to write or you know because time constraint is there. The most important thing is attempting all questions. The second important thing comes the quality of the content and third comes the presentation. In this sequence, attempts all questions to attempt it, then quality of the content and then work on the presentation. And this will come only through practice. So better luck next time. We will be in touch. Okay. So I will be also writing mains this year for rank improvement. So I hope you all are writing mains. So best of luck.